Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another Explain Live. My name is Sam C23, and today we are going to have another stab at this flight. We did attempt it yesterday, but we had a bit of a bird strike when we took off, which trashed one of my engines. And then after that, I had issues with Explain not wanting to run the way it was meant to. So we had a bit of an aborted stream last night, so we're going to do this one again tonight. So we're going to be flying down from Bristol Airport down to Paris, Charles de Gaulle. And we are going to be flying in the Zibo 737-800. And what I intend to do is do a little bit of a tutorial on how to get this plane up and running as best as I can. Let's go! So let's head on into the airplane. Let's take a look at the airplane first of all. So we're going to be flying in daytime hours, just to see if we can improve our frame rate. We had a bit of issues with our frame rates yesterday as well, but I think I have solved that problem now. So we need a bit of sound on here just to get that realism back. And let's bring it down just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we're going to basically go through a quick run through on how to get this going. If you've got any questions, please ask them in the chat, and if I know the answer, I will answer it for you. If I don't know the answer, I will try to find out for you before the end of today's stream. Before we go though, I need to give a quick shout out to Fried Halibut, who followed me on Twitch earlier on today, so thank you very much for that, and welcome to the live stream group. So let's go in to the plane and see where we're at. So we are running off ground power, so we have got a little bit of power in the cockpit system, and as we can see, everything else is either illuminated orange or switched off, so we're going to have to change all of that stuff as we go today. So first thing I always do, just because it takes the longest to do sometimes, is align the ILS. So we're going to switch these over to nav, onto heading, and then we can see it's going to align in 1 minute, so that's not too bad. I can live with that. If we want to, we can put the light on. Don't think we're going to need that today though, and then we can come back down here. Next thing I'm going to do is sort out the FMC in terms of the fuel that we're going to carry. So if I go into extras, I go into fuel, and then I'm just going to jump across to my sim brief, and I'm going to check what fuel and weights it's recommending for this flight. So this is saying fuel of 5.4 pounds with an extra 13.1 to see us through. And that's going to give us extra half an hour's worth of flying. So we're going to put in 18.5. 18.5 into my total fuel. So that's going to spread it across center tank, left and right. That's fine. We've got this. This is new. I have updated the Zibo, so this is new. So we'll see what this does. Payload today is going to be 8.3. Okay, and CG is saying it's -10. I don't know if I can change that at all. I haven't got a CG on my sim brief, so that's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do next is sort out the pulse or position in it, and this is going to basically tell my FMC where I am. So there's a few ways that we can do this. We can either just copy my last known position in there. If I go on to the next page, we've got GPS left, GPS right, which will also do the trick. What I like to do is I put in the airport reference, EGGD, put it into here, and that gives me this longitude and latitude, which is close enough to what we want. So I'm going to click on the left button there to copy it, and then click on this button then to paste it into the correct position. Okay, so from here, what we can do is, I sometimes get passengers on board at this point, I think what we'll do is we will program the FMC next. So we're going to go to the route. So we're taking off EGGD and we're going to go to LFPG. LFPG. Okay, if you want to, you can put in flight route numbers and things like that. It's not important that you do, but if you want a bit of realism, you can put them in there. The code route is if you've saved a route, you can call that back up again. But as far as I'm aware, because routes keep changing regularly, they don't tend to use that as much. Departing runway. So normally you'd get ATC clearance for this. What I am going to do is just check the ATIS real quick and see what our departing runway is going to be today. So ATIS is on 126.2. I'm using radio stack for this, but you can
Bristol
just as easily do it
Information
down
Juliet.
here.
1100 Zulu weather. Wind 280 at 6. Visibility 10. Sky conditions 2100 overcast. Temperature 8. Dew point 5. Altimeter 3056. Arriving runway 27. Departing runway 27.
I will come back to that because I need to set the altimeter and things like that. But we're going to go runway 27. I'm just checking on my sim brief now. See what we need here. So just turn my emails off because they're distracting. So we are going to be leaving on the Badi 1X and then going direct to Badim. So I'm going to go back to the routes page, click on next. So we're going Badi 1X going to Badim. From there we're going direct to Gavgo. Now this is a waypoint, so we put it on the right hand side of the screen. And then we're going to be using an airway, and the airway that we're using is UL18. And UL18 airways go on the left hand side. So it's asking me UL18 and it's asking me where am I coming off this jetway. So we're going to be coming off at SFD. Okay. Then we're going to use another airway, which is UM605. And we need to get off that at buybacks. Okay. Now you can leave it there and let ATC let you know where they're going to be landing. I'm going to fill in a departure, an arrival runway, but I'll tune into ATIS as we get closer to find out what runway they are actually using. So my sim brief is telling me 08 left at the moment via the Beaver 7W. So Beaver 7W, and we're coming in on ILS 8 left. I'm not going to use a transition, and so that should be all good. So I'm going to activate the route, execute it, and then check the legs for any discontinuous or vectors. So we're looking to see any discos, and we're looking okay. We've got a vector there, that's fine, that's for our missed approach, so I'm okay with that one being a vector. Next in very quickly, just to make sure this is all right, I'm gonna, can't see it from here, so I'm gonna have to change my view. I'm just gonna pop up here, oops, put that onto about 20 and flick it over to plan. And you'll notice now this button has changed to step. So what we're going to do is just step through this route, make sure that it all looks okay. So we're going to fly off to the north, then we're going to head southeast, follow that down, and then we're going to be coming east, southeast, and then approaching from the east. So that all looks fine to me. So I'm going to put this back onto map. You can leave that as what you want it at. I'll leave it as it is for now. And while I'm up here, I'm just going to set the barrow.
Bristol International Information Juliet.
Was 3056. So set the barrow. We're going to come up here. And we're going to be looking just underneath your altimeter to see what it's set at. So I'm just going to scroll over until I get to 30. What did I say it was?
Bristol International Information Juliet.
3056, and that's our barometric pressure set, so that's good. Okay, next we're going to go back to the FMC and we're going to complete the init reference page. So next we need to tell it how heavy we are, and that's why I did the fuel first. That's one of the first things I did, because if I just click this button now, it's going to give me my my weight and my zero fuel weight as well. Reserves, I said I was going to be taking 13.1 extra with us, so 13.1, and then cost index. Now the cost index is basically how much fuel you're going to be burning or how fast you're going to be going. So we're using cost index of 42. So I think that's going to be a little bit conservative on the fuel, which is fine. Same for this trip. Cruise altitude flight is recommending flight level 4000. We're not going to go up that high. Our sim brief is recommending we go up to 370, and we're cleared straight up there. So go flight level 370. That goes on there. Alt constraints Mopar. Okay, so if we just take a look at our legs and we go down to Mopar. Mopar, yeah, so basically we can't go below, or we should be below, sorry, flight level 120, so that's fine. Flight level COV, yeah, that's fine. I can live with that. Okay, cruise wind. Now to find the cruise wind, what we're going to do is, again using our sim brief, we're going to go down to, it's normally around page 4 where you got the flight log, and we're looking for, it'll give you either an airway or a waypoint, and then underneath that it says TOC. So I'm going to come across on that one, and we're going to get some numbers, and it'll be 3 numbers with a slash and another 3 numbers. So in my case it's 347 slash 046. And we're going to put that into cruise wind. So basically that's saying that when we reach our cruising altitude, the winds are going to be coming out of 347 degrees at 46 knots. The rest of this we can leave as is. So that's fine. Next we're going to go to our N1 limits. We're going to do a regular takeoff. I'm not going to derate it or anything like that. I'm just going to do a regular climb. So that can stay as it is. And then takeoff, we're going to go flaps 5. We're going to go, just click on here and that'll give me my center of gravity, which is 30.7. My trim needs to be 3.34. So I'm going to come down to my trim wheel. We're close to 5 at the moment. So 5, 4, that's 3. So it's going to be around there somewhere. That's close enough. Now we need to know our V1, V2, V3 speeds, and it's recommending V1 is at 121, V2, oh sorry, rotate is 122, and V2, which is point of no return basically, is at 135. So we're going to have those speeds in there. And then what I'm going to do is come up to my autopilot, and in my indicated airspeed I'm going to put in my V2 speed plus 5 knots. Just give me that little bit extra. So 135. We can start to set our altitude. Now this is going to take a while. Welcome LW, sorry. Welcome to the stream. This is going to take a while, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up to about 10,000. And that'll do us as we start our climb. Then once we get up off the ground, then we can then push that further up to our 30,000 or 35. How far are we going? 37,000. I think we were going to, wasn't it? Yeah, 370. We can clear this light off. It's just saying that we've got information on there, and that's your FMC setup. That's all good to go. Now, if you're using the Zibo mod and you want to get a bit of sound effects going, what we can do is we can unlock your door. he says, and that should get your packs coming in. But I'm wondering if my packs have not reinstalled after I uninstalled everything. So bear with me 2 seconds. So I had to reinstall X-Plane recently. Packs on board, that's all fine. Yeah, that's good. Packs 10, interesting. Okay, well my sound files don't seem to be working tonight. That's okay, it's not important that we have the sound files. It's nice if you can get them to work, but that's normally, unless they've changed it. Ah, I know why. Right, we need to come up to this panel, this is why. Right, battery we can turn on, and standby power we can turn on. Because we are running off ground power, that wasn't important that we had it on, but we can put it on now. And if we just change the switch over to battery, we can see how many amps we're drawing. We've got 20 volts, no amps. If we put onto ground power, we've got 404, and we've got 118 volts. That's fine. Now this is the reason why we weren't getting sound effects, because you have to have your emergency lighting on before you can put passengers on board. So if I come back down here now, and now, there we go. We're starting to get passengers coming on board. If they're too loud for you, flick the door back onto auto and it muffles it down for you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work our way left to right here. So we're going to start up here. We're going to check the ILS is aligned, which it has now. We're going to switch the yaw dampener on. We're going to come down to the fuel pumps. Now, if you haven't got fuel in the centre pump, you don't want to put your centre fuel pump on. And that's purely because you don't want to burn the motor out. Now, I'm only going to put the forward pump on, and I'm just going to turn those packs down a little bit, just because they are a little bit noisy back there for what we are doing here today. Okay, let's head back up here. So yeah, I'm just going to put the one fuel tank on today. Welcome, Blue Whale. Welcome to the stream. So that we can start up our APU in a minute and get off ground power. One thing I do need to do is turn on some lights, and this will let this position strobe and steady or steady basically tells ground that I've got power going to my engine. Now, I'm not turning these two on because these actually trigger voice commands, which I'm not ready to trigger just yet. Okay, coming back down this panel then, battery's on, standby power's on, ground power is on. What we're going to do now is start up the APU. So we're going to go click onto on position and then click and hold for 2 seconds. 1, 2, and release. And if we watch the EGGD here, this is going to start to spool up. Now this is basically a power generator that we're going to be using. So if we watch, there it goes. So what this will do is enable us to disconnect ground power, which is what we want. While that's spooling up then, what we're going to do is continue down here. So we need to put cabin utility on just so that we can get the coffee going back there. Equipment cooling, that's okay, we can leave it as is. No smoking sign can come on to auto. Fasten seatbelt sign can come on to auto. Window heats can come on. The probe heats we're going to put on after we start the engine. Anti-ice, I don't think we're going to need it today. I don't think it's going to be that cold. So we're going to leave that as it is. Okay, so now that this is settled down, you can see that we've got APU generator available to us. So what we're going to do is use these two switches here. These are the APU generators. We're going to switch those to the on position, and then we can disconnect the ground power. So now we're running on APU power. So if I come up here, you can see ground power is off. If I flick this onto APU, we can see we've now got power on the APU. So that is all good. Come back to where we left off then, we can turn the hydraulics on. they're going to say low pressure because our engines aren't running, so that's fine. That can all stay as is. Next, we're going to come over to the heating panels and the air conditioning for the aircraft. So resoak fans can stay on auto, that's fine. Ram doors open, full open, okay. Packs are on auto, ISO valve is on auto, and we want to put this one on, the APU bleed. This is the one we're looking for. So if I turn this on, you'll be able to hear the air conditioning start to spool up. There it goes. So now in the back there, they've got air conditioning. Next to that then, we have got the pressurization, and we're going up to 37,000 feet. So we need to set this to 37,000 feet. There we go. Leave it on auto, that's fine. And once I know my landing altitudes, which I'm going to have to look at my charts for, nearer to my landing, I can set that to the landing altitude. That is my overhead panel complete for now. So we're going to come back down to here, and we're just going to do a little bit of tidying up here before we get going. So my flight directors on both sides can come on. We can turn on the auto throttle, LNAV, VNAV, and we'll leave the autopilot off. That's all fine. So we're getting pretty much ready to do our pushback now. So if you were flying ATC, obviously you'd set your radios. We can set our transponder to TARA, and we can do a welcome message to the passengers.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, welcome aboard our flight today. We're wrapping up the final paperwork here to get you underway momentarily. I want to thank you so much for your company, and we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Again, welcome aboard.
Okay, so he's done with his announcement. So that's all good. Right, one thing I like to do, it does come with these sort of sound effects, but I have installed some other ones as well, so we can do another little, do some welcome music, which I'm not going to use, and we can do a message here.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, welcome aboard from a flight.
This is just an extra plugin that I've installed, which
I
I
want
quite
to
like.
thank all of you for being with us today. We're just getting the last of the luggage stowed on board, and we should be...
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
So, I just need to check which runway do we say we're going out of. We're going out of runway 27, which is off this way. And I'm using the better plugin, sorry, the better pushback plugin. Although last time we did this, it did do some craziness. So we'll go back to about there. We'll tell it that that's where we want it to go.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Okay, so whilst tow's drying up, I'm going to tell my ground handling to drive away. Good evening, Strong. How are you doing tonight? Glad to see you got your flight sim up and running again. I had to reinstall this last night, which is a pain in the backside. So quick hello to some people out there watching. We've got LW Aviation, welcome. Blue Whale HD, welcome. Strong, welcome. It kept crashing, so I had to redo it. And welcome to anybody who is currently watching on Twitch
all
as well.
doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Okay, so he's getting ready to connect. Okay, so what we're going to do whilst we are waiting to go is we're going to turn on the anti-collision, and this will tell the cabin crew to prepare doors for takeoff.
Flight attendants protect the press for cross check and all call, thank you.
And then I'm just going to do a safety video.
Hello. Hello. Konnichiwa. Ciao. Mabuhay.
They'll do their own one as well, but I like to be different.
Connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Yes. That's conflicting a little bit, so we'll turn ours off and let the Zibo one run. Okay, so I can release parking brake. That gets rid of all the ground handling stuff, so you don't run over it.
You may start engines.
Right, so we can clear to start our engines. So how we do that is we need to turn the packs off because the air... It's these two here. There you go. The air that is being used for the air conditioning is now going to be used to turn the turbines. So what I'm going to do is turn my engine starters to ground. We're going to start with engine 2 first of all. And what we're looking for is this N2 to get to around about 20%. So we go gone past 20%, and then I'm going to add in fuel. So we can use fuel levers, pull that up. Now I've got buttons assigned for that, so for the next one I'm going to use the button. And we can see the engines are starting to spool up now. And what we hear is the power getting swapped over in a minute. So I'm going to start up the second engine. Wait till we get to 20%. There's 20. My button's not working. Fuel goes in.
So that you may follow along, we have provided a safety instruction card in your seat pocket.
Engines are spooling up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is turn on all of our fuel pumps, including our center ones. We don't have a whole lot.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
We don't have a whole lot of fuel
Toes, stand by.
in the center one, so I'm going to turn that off, and I'm only going to use that if I'm absolutely desperate for it. So now we can see that we've got generators available above engine 1, engine 2, so I'm going to click these, and now we are running on the engine generators, not the APU. So if I turn these bleeds on, turn this bleed off, and then I can turn the packs back on again, and that's going to give the cabin's air conditioning again. Yeah, so tonight I'm just doing a little run through of how to get this plane up and running, or at least the way that I do it. So now that's up and running, I can disconnect the APU, turn that off, because we don't need it anymore.
The bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to turn some lights on here. It's getting a little bit dark in the cockpit.
Once outside, pull down on the red tab to the station, or blow into the red tube on the side of the deck. There is also a light that will illuminate upon contact with water. Never inflate the deck.
Okay. So I think we are good to go. Just going to zoom in a little bit, get to a better seating position here. Center us up. Okay, so we've got the plane in a stable condition now. We're good to go. So next thing is our taxi lights. They can come on. The APU is shut down. Safety briefing is complete. Brakes need to go to RTO, which stands for rejected takeoff. Okay. Before we go, I need to check my system, so I'm going to come down to here where it says MFD, and I'm going to click Systems. That changes my display here, and I can see I've got rudder, elevators, and my ailerons. So I'm going to go left, right, down, up, rudder left, and my head turns, rudder right, and my head turns. Control surfaces check complete. Okay. Release parking brakes. And we can begin our taxi. Obviously, if you're doing ATC, then you'd be requesting clearance for all this stuff. But seeing as I'm not doing ATC flight today, I'm just going to assume that I've got clearance for everything. So if you are liking these sort of videos, please let me know in the comments or in the chat box, or smash that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button or the follow button, and I'll definitely do more sort of tutorial videos as best as I can on how to set up and get certain planes up off the ground. So if you have got any requests and I have that plane or that aircraft, then let me know what you'd like to see, and I will do my best to learn it and try to do a setup for you. I do just focus on airplanes though. I do not know how to fly helicopters. So I have installed a new plugin called Headshake, and I'm liking it so far because as you're taxiing, it does turn your head, so you basically see where you're going. Alright, so we're going to hold short the runway. This is obviously where you would get your clearance to go. Set my parking brake, and I'm going to set my flaps to flaps 5, as that's what we put into our FMC to say what we were going to be doing, what we're going to be taking off as. I'm going to set my position lights to strobe and steady. And I'm going to turn my wing lights on, which then triggers the voice. Now, I don't know if that's when you're meant to do it in real life. I don't think it is. But that is just where I've done it. Landing lights, we're just putting the fixed ones on for this. Fixed landing lights for takeoff, all landing lights for landing. So obviously you get your clearance to go. We'll assume we've got ours. And we'll start to head on out. Now with this particular plane, it does like to get up off the ground pretty quickly. Just going to zoom it out just so I can see my speed references. Now if you remember, when we were setting up the FMC, we told it what our V1, V2 speeds were going to be, and they've been programmed into the flight director, so that as we reach them, we're going to get a call out to say that we've reached our speeds. I am nowhere near lined up, so let's just try to fix that a little bit. Listen to that sound. That is a nice sound. This is just me being clicky now. Alright. Let's head back in on board. So we are ready to go. So we're going to throttle up to about 40%, and then once the engines are stable, we can throttle up to takeoff. I'm then going to enable N1, which enables the toga on this particular airplane. So here we go. Throttle up. There we go, and all the way. I'm going to put a little bit of downward pressure on the nose just to keep her down. N1 enabled. Now I can just focus on the steering and wait for those call out.
V1.
V1, rotate.
Rotates.
Positive rate.
Positive rate. Gear can come up.
400.
400. Autopilot can come on.
3000.
Okay, and up goes the flaps, and then we can just continue our climb up to 35,000 feet. So now that we're up and we've engaged the autopilot, it will pretty much fly itself until we get to our destination. Three, 34, 35, 36 and 37,000 feet. It takes a while, but we're going there. So we're just going through the clouds now, passing through, we're just coming up to 5,000 feet, and we're going to be making our turn round to the southeast now. For those of you that would like to follow my flight or track my flights, posting a link in the chat box where you can go to and follow the flight. It'll show you where I am in the world and also tell you what my altitude and speeds are and all that good stuff. Definitely check that out if you are interested in that sort of thing. Switch my barrow over to standard. We've got an FMC message here. What's this one? Enable required nav pref. I haven't seen that message before. Okay, this is new. Enable required nav perf R&D. What on earth do you mean by that? Clear that up. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but we are holding until we get past 6,000 feet when we get to this Intka, and then from there we will be cleared up then to flight level 102. There we go. So we're cleared to go up to continue our flight up. Alright, see you later. It's not going to be a long flight, this one. Only going to be about an hour and 15 minutes or so. We haven't had that message come back again, so I think we're okay. Okay, so we passed 10,000 feet, so we're going to switch to barrow. It's standard pressure now. We are climbing pretty quickly. I think that's going to calm down a bit now. Lights can come off, taxi lights can come off because we're not taxiing anymore. Just there's strobe and steady for the entire flight. Seatbelt signs are on auto, so they're going to be handled by the guys in the back there. And everything else, we'll put this onto generator 1 just so we can see how much power we're using. Everything else is all good on there, from what I can tell. So our sim brief was recommending, what was it recommending us to fly into? 08. So I'm just going to quickly have a look at the chart for runway 08. A lot of charts for this runway, as you might imagine, for this airport, as you might imagine. It is a massive airport. Okay, runway 08 left, that's what we're coming on, wasn't it? Yep. So ILS runway 08 left, we are capped. So it looks like we're going to be intercepting at 4,000 feet. This looks like quite a steep one down, actually. It's okay. We're just banking around. So I'm just looking for my ATIS frequency. It's going to be 127.12 if we want it in English, which we do. There is a French option, should you want that. I'm just going to get that ready in my standby frequency for when we get a little bit closer. What I like to do is I like to fly with my FMC on the progress tab. That way I can see when my top of climb is going to be, which is going to be in 59 nautical miles. And then once we get there, it'll tell me when my top of descent is going to be. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just set my landing gear to the off position. Just finished getting the cockpit squared away. I can reduce my main throttle down to 0, since how the autopilot's handling it. Or you can sort of put it roughly where it is on the screen. If you have got a weather radar, then you would have turned it on just before you left, but this particular model does not have weather, and I don't think it's got terrain either. Doesn't look like it does. What you could have done as well, something I didn't do, was to set my heading, which I should have done. You should reset your heading to your runway takeoff heading, just in case you have any failures. I don't tend to do that, just because I'm lazy. But you should do it. So we're passing 30,000 feet now, on our way up to 37,000 feet. And that'll be us at our cruising altitude then. So let's have a quick look to see exactly where we are. And we are currently over Swindon. At the moment, heading towards Reading. We're actually not going to hit Reading by the looks of things. We're banking round. So we are going to go over North Wessex. Looks like we're going to be going over the South Downs. Just to the west of Brighton and Worthing. We're going to cross the channel. And we're going to come into Paris. Okay, so we're reaching 37,000 feet. We've reached our cruising altitude. The FMC is now taking over the speed handling. LNAV has got the latitude, so left and right nav. VNAV has got the up and down and also the speed side of things. We're in a pretty good shape. Top of descent is in 77 nautical miles, so just as we get up there, we're going to have to start coming back down again. So we're going to start getting things ready for our descent down. So I'm just going to flick the radio over to the ATIS. Now normally ATC would vector you down, but obviously we're not running ATC today, so I'm going to vector myself down So we're going to start to set the altitude for 4,000 feet. Now the altitude is not going to change. Basically what we're telling it is that the LNAV and VNAV are going to bring us down. But when we get to 4,000, that's where I want you to stop. Don't want you to go any lower. You're going to hold us at 4,000 and then we will pick up the ILS and work our way down from there. Well, like I said, normally the ATC would bring you down. The reason why we're doing this now is because it does take a little while for us to get down to that altitude. There we go. Okay, so that's that set. I'm a little bit hesitant to do the radios at the moment just because I don't know what my actual landing is going to be on. We will assume for now that it is going to be 8 left. So if I go into my init ref on my FMC, we need to set a few things up. So approach ref, we want to be landing flaps 30. You can go flaps 40 if you've got a shorter runway. Charles Goddard's got quite a nice length runway, so we can come in flaps 30, 132 knots. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to click it again, and that brings that information down into the FMC, and that's basically telling my FMC that we want to be landing flaps 30, speed 132, but we'll be controlling that by then anyway. ILS 08 left, so this is the radio frequency that I want. So I want 108.7. So where I put that is, if I just redo my views here, if I come down to the radio stack, does he fix this? No. Okay. So we're going to use these two navs. Okay, so it was 108, if I just cycle up here, 108.7. So I'm going to put that into, there it is, 108.7 into there, and I'm going to swap it over onto nav 1. And I need to do the same for nav 2. There we go. And that means that if I need to, my auto land will work. Next thing I want to do is come up to my autopilot. I'm going to set my courses. So according to the FMC, the course that I need to fly is going to be 086. And if I have a look at the charts, 086, that's the same. So, and again, on both sides of here, I need to do the pilot and I need to do the first officer side. I'm going to set these to 086. Side, and this is why I'm doing it now before we hit top of descent, because it does take a little while to get everything configured and we don't want to be rushing this as we're coming in. 086 on that side, and 086. As we reach our next waypoint. Just like to check to see if I am centered on this chair. Just my little bit of OCD kicking in there. I like to sit quite high up on the plane. Obviously, it's your personal preference at the end of the day. Close you sit. So top of descent is now 35 nautical miles, so that's fine. We're going to get there in about 5 minutes time. So that's all good. Saurus, hello, welcome to the stream. Zibo fan, one flight today with X-Plane, fantastic. I do like this plane, I think it's a very nice one to fly. I don't know how long you've been watching for, but hopefully you've... I've been doing a little bit of a walk on how to get this plane up and running, or at least what I do to get up and running. Whether that's the right way or not, I don't know, but that's the way that I do it. But welcome to the stream. So I fly with this plane pretty regularly now. It's my go-to plane at the moment. So if you want to see more of these sort of flights, hit that follow button, because I do stream regularly on Twitch and on YouTube. I got too many plugins, I know. I need to tidy them up because, to be honest, I don't use half of them. The only ones that I really use are auto gates, FM car, ground handling, X camera, and better pushback. Oh, and SPAD, and head shake. I use a fair few of them actually. But yeah, I do need to clean those up a little bit. Get rid of the ones I don't need. So we're beginning to slow the plane down now. This is how we are reaching our top of descent. And in a second it's probably going to tell me to add some drag to the plane. Okay, so we're going on descent. We're looking at this little triangle here, and we've got the little diamond here as well. It's going to help us out. But let's see what it wants us to do. drag required, that's fine. We'll put a bit of drag on. So for drag, we're just using our speed brake. Spoilers, if you want to call them that. And what I'm doing is I'm just using my spoilers or my speed brake to keep that triangle more or less in the middle. So once you've got it, you can pretty much leave it alone. A little bit more on there. Trying to find the balance of speed brake and throttle. So you can see I lost a bit of speed there. So I'm just bringing my speed brake up just a little bit. Not massively, just to bring it back up again. That'll probably do. So we are a little bit high. For those of you who don't know, whenever we're looking at anything like this, like the ILS or with these diamonds, if the arrow is down, it means you are high. If the arrow is up, it means you are too low. So we are a little bit high, but it is starting to come down to where we want it to be. So I'm happy with this sort of rates. We're not massively off where we need to be. A little bit more on there. Not much. Okay, so what we can do as we're coming down is basically get everything as ready as we can. So I'm going to put my auto brakes on before I forget to do that, because that's something that I normally forget to do. We're coming up to a decel just after Petak, so that means we're going to be slowing down some more. Fuel, we got plenty of fuel. More than enough. I think we should be across the channel by now. We are nearly across the channel. So we crossed over at Brighton and we are going to be entering French airspace around Dieppe. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. You get a nice view of my Facebook there. So this is the chart we're going to be looking at. So we're planning to come in 8 left. So we're going to intercept the 4000 and come on down and land. Hopefully first time. Fingers crossed. Okay, so you see I've not been keeping an eye on this, and I've let this drop down a little bit further than what I might like it to, so I'm just going to add a bit more drag with the speed brake. Not much, but you'll be able to see that that will start to come back up again. I'm going to have a deacceleration now anyway. Speed brake on than perhaps I would normally, just to try and bring that back into control. Right, there we go. So there's our deacceleration. So we've crossed 25,000 feet. I'm going to use speed brake just to get me down there a little bit quicker, and you can see that that triangle now is more or less in the middle. Bring my speed brake all the way up. Perfect. So next point in which we're going to really do something is as we pass through 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet, that's when we would normally turn the seatbelt signs on, but they're on automatic, so that'll happen on its own. We're also going to sort out our lights, our landing lights, taxi lights and all that good stuff. And generally get the airplane ready to come on in. We should shortly after that be picking up the ATIS, so we can just confirm which runway we need to be landing on. I'm hoping it's going to be 8 left. I think we'll land on 8 left regardless. Just because that's what we're set up for on this particular flight. forgot to put almost Pro Beats. I forgot to do something. That should have been done after engine startup, so my apologies for that one. Alright, no worries, have a good landing. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you very much. Thank you for the follow. Yep, we are just about to come in for landing. We are... How far away are we now? 67 nautical miles. Doing good. Okay, awesome. Let me know if you install FS, what's it called? Join FS. And if you do, we can do a flight together at some point. Or at least we can try to. Yeah, I'm not sure what my plans are for the weekend yet. I might be able to find some time to do it on the weekend. I'll have to check with the wife to see what she's got planned. I don't think I'm doing anything. Is your stream okay? I'm watching it on my laptop on a different network, and I am buffering like crazy.
Paris Charles de Gaulle Information Lima. 1200 Zulu weather.
That's right.
Wind light and variable. Visibility 10. Sky conditions 3000 broken. Temperature 7. Dew point 4. Altimeter 3057. Arriving runway 08 left. Departing runway 08 left.
Okay, so altimeter is 3057. So just like we did at Bristol, we're going to change this to 3057, which is actually the same. And as we pass for 10,000 feet, we can set that on. It's not normally this bad. What resolution are you watching in? change my bit rate and see if that affects it at all. Let me know if that's gotten any better for you. See, mine's alright now. So we are a little bit low, so I'm going to just bring my air brake up a little bit. Try refreshing it and it might have sorted itself out now. So I'm bringing my air brakes all the way up now, just to help me come down a bit. Stay up rather. Nice. I shall be eating when I land. Refresh the screen. So I've changed the bitrate on it and I've refreshed it and it seems to be okay now. My stream health is excellent apparently, so it's not an issue on my end. Okay, so we're passing 10,000 feet now, and for some reason I am throttling up like crazy, so we're going to arm speed myself. Don't know why it did that. Okay, we're going to turn all of our landing lights on, we'll turn the taxi lights on as well. Gonna just arm my speed brake. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. My LNAV went crazy. VNAV rather. Let's use my air brake just to bring me down a bit. Alright, so we're going to start to... How far away are we? 28. We need to get down to 132. So we're going to just bring the speed down a little bit. switch over to barometric pressure as well. We've got to get our speed right down. It's fine my end though. Not getting any buffering at all. Trying to slow this aircraft down. It doesn't want to go below 200.
Thousand to go.
So we've got 1,000 to go till we reach our altitude, and we are ridiculous. I got speed brake all the way down. These flaps to help us slow down, I think. We're not in the danger zone for flaps, we're okay. So as we're bringing the speed down, we are just adjusting the flaps. We want to be flaps 30 at BREF, so we've got flaps 30 now actually. Okay, so we've established we're waiting for that little pink diamond to come down about halfway, and then we can swap over to approach hold. Back up again. I've got 0 visibility. Okay, we're established on the glide slope. Gear down. We are a little bit low, but that's okay. Right, we've got visual. what I'm looking for is for this to say single channel, and then I'm going to enable my command B. So that's basically the autopilot is going to be flying it for a little while, and then I'm going to take over speed control, and then I'll eventually take over flying the craft. And one is on 108, and two is on 108. We are good on those. Auto brakes are set, gear is down. Feet to go. I'm not getting any at all on my end now. It's perfectly fine on my end. But I'm watching in 720, not 1080. Thank you very much. I will try my best. Is it going to give me an auto land option? I don't think it is today. Never mind. Channel, enable AP2, wait for it to establish, land 3. So land 3 basically means it's going to auto land itself. We're not going to do an auto land there, we are going to do a manual land, so I'm going to disconnect my auto throttle because I want to control my throttle myself.
Thousand feet, stabilized, Mr. Perch, altitude set.
Disconnecting autopilot.
400. 300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
And speed brakes. Back to the center line.
80 knots.
80 knots. Speed brakes can come up. And we are down.
We'll be taxiing for the next few minutes, so please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened and all items
Flaps
stowed
up.
until the seatbelt sign is turned off. Please make sure you have all your personal belongings before you exit the aircraft, and be careful when opening the overhead compartment. You're now free to use your mobile phones and small lightweight devices. Thank you for flying with us today. We hope you've had a pleasant experience, and we look forward to welcoming you again on another flight.
Alright, have a good evening. Thanks for stopping by. I'm just going to clear the runway and then we'll take a look at that landing in the replay. Alright, let's just have a quick look at that, see how it was. How bad of a thump was it? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Alright, let's go to a... Oh, blimey. Let's find a gate. Taxiways. We'll just drive around, try and find one. Okay, so now that we're down, we can turn off the landing lights, leave taxi lights on. Crashed, so we're going to be stuck with that on the screen. Don't know where I'm going, so we'll head this way. Okay, so we can turn off our auto brakes as well. Okay, while we're taxiing, what we're going to do is get the APU back up and running. the auto gate at this airport. Obviously you could have a ground marshal doing this for you, but because we don't have one at this airport, we're going to have to do it ourselves. There we go, parking brakes are set. Parking brake is set. APU should now be online. APU power is available, so we're going to go APU power on. So the bleeds are turned on, they can come off, and then we can shut off engine 1 and engine 2. Engine 1 comes off, engine 2 comes off. Get our ground handling up. Seatbelt sign. Off. Lights can come off. I think we're running on ground power now. There we go. Running on ground power so the APU can come off. Fuel pumps can come off. Packs will leave on whilst people are leaving. Hydraulics can come off. Pitos can come off. Window heat can come off. Something like that. Taxi can come off. We didn't set that, never mind. Okay, and we should be in a stable position now, so these guys can do their job. Our passenger's going to have to get off the staircase because the jetway's not working today. But yeah, that is how you fly the Zibo 737-800. I hope it's been useful, hope it's been helpful to you. I know my landing wasn't perfect, but it's one of the better ones that I've done. If you have enjoyed what you've seen here, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. But we are going to leave it there. Our next leg will more than likely be down to Spain somewhere. I haven't decided where yet, though. So hopefully you can join me for that. Until then, though, my name has been SamC23. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you again in the very near future. Until then, though, have a good evening.